what are the most valuable legends to own in One Piece Treasure Cruise? And from the start, let's clarify, does valuable mean the best? I wouldn't say so because in my opinion, there's no best legend in One Piece Treasure Cruise per se, simply because the best legend will always depend on the content you want to clear. To give a very simple example, in the next treasure map where we have a treasure map legend, that legend will be by far the best to use in that treasure map. But that won't make that legend the best in the game, even though he is or she is the best in that given situation. And the same goes for Kizuna and other events. But I can definitely understand someone calling these 5 legends the best in the game, or some of these 5 legends the best in the game. It's probably more of a perspective thing and how someone views the game. Enough with the technicalities though, let's get to the list, which by the way will be in no specific order simply because I do not own all of the legends. We are going to start things off with the most recently released unit on the list, the Super Evolution of Gear 5 Luffy. Even though I could technically include both versions of Gear 5 Luffy in this list, I decided against it, so we can talk about another unit instead of clogging everything with Gear 5 Luffy. The 3 reasons I selected the Super Evolution of Gear 5 instead of the 6-star version: number 1, universal boosting; number 2, instead of providing a color affinity boost, he provides an attack boost and an ore buff, or an ore boost and an attack buff depending on what you need and what you already have on the team, which is also universal; and number 3, he has the potential to have color advantage over every color. The final reason is also the reason why the Super Evolution of Gear 5 is better the more developed your box is. If you are a newer player, I would say the 6-star version of Gear 5 Luffy is better for you because you have more utility from his captain ability with both the special rewind resistance and the bind removal, and you also have the revive mechanic. And while the Super Evolution can remove despair completely, you still have to make a team with every color available in it to gain the rainbow damage, hence why it can be harder for team building if you are a newer player. 6+ Luffy though is the only unit in the entire game that can make all of the colors have super type, of course something that makes absolute sense with his rainbow damage coming from you having every color in the team. But he is also the only unit in the entire game that can manipulate super block slots. That is coming from his EX super special, which is very valuable simply because it is easier for you to manipulate super block slots than to try and avoid them by having Wano slots locked or Rainbow slots locked or whatever else. And the fact that he can give you matching slots even through super block or block slots makes his special even better, where he actually treats matching slots better than even Wano slots with a 2.75 attack multiplier instead of a 2 times or a 2.5 times that we see in Wano slots. He also has his disadvantages, to be expected. First of all, to gain access to his EX Super, you need 3 specific named characters in your crew, not 1, because he gives super types to all of the colors, not only 1. But the fact that the Straw Hats are listed in that requirement makes it considerably more manageable. On top of that, he can apply increased damage taken through his EX Super, which does not go through immunity. A disadvantage in one hand, but on the other hand, understandable because that would probably make him broken. And finally, he doesn't really have a lot of utility coming from his special. A great unit overall, and I'm certain you have heard a lot about him, so let's continue with the second unit I want to talk about, or units. I will place the new Super Sugofest Big Mom and Demon Robin together on this list. Maybe a bit of cheating, maybe not, but it is essentially the same unit, one for good guys, one for bad guys. Demon Robin works with Free Spirit and Cerebral, while All-In, or Big Mom, works with Driven and Powerhouses. The reason, of course, I have to place them here is the fact that they are the only units in the entire game that can allow you to gain 2 conditional attack boosts instead of 1. Normally, in a normal team without these 2, you have a limit of 1 conditional attack boost, even if you have multiple units that can provide one. With these 2 units, of course, if you meet the requirements of the correct captain class, you can have a limit of 2 conditional attack boosts. And not only that, they provide one themselves, with the debuff applied to the enemy by them, ignoring immunity completely. ignited status for Big Mom, and defense down for Robin. That unique ability of theirs is actually extremely valuable, even to the point where it is irreplaceable for damage output purposes in Kizuna super bosses, so I have to add them in this list. Now, if we are talking damage outside of Kizuna super bosses, you don't need that much damage, although having 2 conditional attack boosts can allow you to ignore another boosting ability you would normally use and not include it in your crew, like an attack boost, for example. But the negative side of things here is that these 2 units don't really provide any utility. On top of that, I wouldn't say they are that valuable for newer players without developed boxes. Just like the Super Evolution of Gear 5 Luffy, they get even better with the more developed your box gets. If you are very new, or someone that does not care about super boss damage in Kizuna, or you simply do not really care about Kizuna and your alliance ranking high, then I would say you shouldn't value them as much. They are replaced in this list by either Gear 5 6-star Luffy or the dual unit of Ace and Yamato. They have great utility coming from their captain ability being able to remove bind and special bind. They can provide chain boundaries with their swap, which is simply awesome, and they can even apply ignited stats to the enemy, which goes through immunity if you use the super swap. From their special, among other things, we get a great attack boost and a great conditional attack boost, definitely making them an honorable mention in this list. Now we are going to transition to the part of the list where definitely it is for everyone in the game. It is not really centered around more developed boxes, but newer players as well. First up, we have Super Sugofest Sai Nami. Truly a remarkable unit. She can apply a conditional attack boost and the debuff that is applied to the enemy goes through immunity. The conditional attack boost on top of that is not something you see often, it's for paralysis, so she can work great with Demon Robin for you to get 2 conditional attack boosts. The conditional attack boost is also not interruptible because it is coming from her super class ability, not her special. It is of course still susceptible to intimidation. On top of that, she can provide a great chain boost and a base attack boost. It is for specific classes, but this is a combination of boosts that not a lot of units in the game are able to provide, especially in that good of a multiplier. On top of all that, and her great damage and of course unique combination of boosts, she can provide amazing utility, with not only removing 7 turns of damage reduction and resilience, but also 5 turns of threshold through her super class ability. She even provides utility through her captain ability, which makes her even better. She can completely remove paralysis when applied to the crew, and I mean completely, even if it is 99 turns, she completely removes it if captain. And after that, she can actually recharge her own special depending on how many turns of paralysis were removed from all of your crew members combined. Even her super tandem ability is great, it is actually one of the best in the entire game. So if you get duplicates of this Nami in a Sugofest, it is not a bad thing, you can invest them to upgrade her super tandem ability. I would say the main disadvantage this Nami has, and it's not even that big of a disadvantage, it is that she is super class striker and not super class free spirit or maybe super type Psy. But then again, you can combine the striker class she has with characters that are not only straw hats or generally good guys, because a lot of the bad guys can also be striker. So that also gives you flexibility at the same time, so it can be viewed as an advantage depending the team building scenario. Incredible unit and definitely someone that everyone wants in their box. I know I do because I haven't pulled her yet. Talking about units I really want but haven't pulled yet, next up on the list we are going to talk about Super Sugofest Dex Sanji, or also known as Rush Sugo Special Sanji. He is the first Rush Sugo Special unit in the game and he is incredible. In my opinion, this Sanji is similar to Nami in the sense that he can give a combination of boosts that are not really seen commonly in a lot of other units. Through his special, he can provide chain boundaries and a boost in base attack for free spirit and fighter characters, and from his super class ability, he can provide a very strong chain boost. The thing with him is that he is an amazing utility unit as well. Through his special, he can remove 7 turns of defense up and damage reduction, but also manipulate block slots into RCV. He makes RCV matching not only through his Sailor ability, but also through his Captain ability, among other slots. From his Captain ability, he allows overheal, and if you attack with color advantage, the next attacking turn he gives you an RCV matching slot, which can be great because if the enemy does not manipulate your slots, it can provide essentially free slot manipulation. He is also the only unit in the entire game that can remove the Captain Swap debuff, but he is also the only unit in the game that can become Captain from the crewmate position and then give you Free Spirit Superclass and remove himself from the Captain position. He can even provide healing through his Superclass ability. And on top of all that, he has the Rush Sugo Special Limit Break ability. Alongside Super Sugo Fest Nami, definitely a primary target for your box. For the final spot in my list for this video, I will place Uta. You can either choose her 6-star int version or her 6++ Q version. Either or, it is absolutely fine, they are both great units. They are also very similar. The main difference is obviously the color, and then the Q Uta boosts Q, Shooter and Cerebral, with her attack and orb boosts applying to Cerebral and Shooters, while the int Uta boosts with her Captain ability int Cerebral Striker, and her boosting of attack and orbs goes to Cerebral and Striker. And technically the Striker class is better than the Shooter class, which could mean you have more team building options, but at the same time, having a good Q Captain is probably more valuable than having a good int Captain, because int Captains have plethora of options, while Q not so much, definitely not on the same level as int. So I think I will place 6++ Uta on this list. That is of course if you are someone who does not have both, or you don't have the ability to swap between the two versions when you need to. Of course, which Uta is better will also depend on the quest you're clearing and the color of the main boss. But if you are a player that has both, either by just pulling them or by getting the free one during the whole Uta Super Evolution shenanigans that happened back in the day, then you're absolutely fine, you have both, perfect. Why is Uta such a valuable unit? Because from her Captain ability, he can remove Paralysis and Special Rewind, and Special Rewind is actually very valuable to be able to resist. And of course, she has the very unique ability of being able to boost your attack and orbs for 3 consecutive stages. Not turns, but stages. If we are in Kizuna, for example, you activate her immediately when you enter in stage 1, you get an attack boost and an orb boost, then you get a better attack boost and orb boost in stage 2, and another even better attack boost and orb boost in stage number 3, which can actually even be increased with her Superclass ability. And she can also manipulate slots and give you a 3-turn chain boost in both versions. Having that unique buff is so valuable because number 1, you can avoid interruptions, and number 2, you have team building flexibility. Since you get the attack boost and orb boost for 3 stages, combined with her utility through the Captain ability, you now have team building freedom. You can add more buffs, you can add more utility, and you can focus more on utility since you have the attack boost and orb boost locked from Uta. And that concludes my list. Do you agree with it or not? If you don't, tell me in the comments below what unit would you add to this list and what unit you would remove. At the end of the day, this is my opinion. Also, I noticed while editing that I only included Super Sugo Fest Legends, which also makes sense, they are the most valuable units in the game. So if you want a similar list with normal legends, tell me in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.